Here we go, everyone. Noles fans, lock it in. Next 60 minutes with you talking up Florida State football. We got Logan Robinson on the line from Nole Game Day. Leave those comments and questions in the live chat. And don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to let people know that we're here every Wednesday night with you talking up Florida State football at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Bring some other folks in here. Logan, what have you been up to?
Living the life. Just got back.
One.
Yeah, I'm trying to enjoy 2022. We're having a good start so far. Definitely Florida State in that area, but heading in the right direction. A little busy, even though we're heading into the off season, but early enrollees arriving. Florida State basketball is back to sucking. So that means that it should be all turn around where Florida State football gets its turn and turns into greatness, right? So
they can't both suck. That's just life's too brutal. That just can't happen.
It can't happen. So I'm feeling great. I'm a little tired. I'm worn out. We had Dustin's, our lead writers. He had his wedding this past weekend and had New Year's Eve right before it too. So I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I got to man up and we got to grind. We got to get ready for the rest of this day and hopefully maybe have some good news later on, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, got to man up for your show tonight. So when is that?
So we're going to do that one on Thursday. We're going to go back to Thursday nights. And I think it'll be good timing with everything going on. And Dustin's out of town on his honeymoon. So don't want to miss him out on the show. So we're going to run that tomorrow. But I'm glad because I need to eat some dinner and chill out for the rest of the night.
Tatum Bethune racked up some tackles at UCF. The last time we saw him was on the field in a pretty minor bowl game usually, but it was a packed house and it was kind of a different affair against Florida. It was pretty exciting with a couple Florida teams in a bowl game against each other, and UCF won the game 29-17, and Bethune had a nice game against the Gators, but he's headed to Tallahassee.
He is. This was a big one. Florida State, as we've talked about it many, many times on the show, Florida State needs linebackers. And so this is a big time pickup there, not only just to help depth, but he's going to be thrown into the fire immediately. I believe you can use him at Mike. You can use him all around. Honestly, he's got some size on him too, but Florida State needed this. I was told pretty early on that Florida State was in a good spot to land him. I think the connection between Sabbath Joseph and Randy Shannon helped a ton in this, but not only that, from what I was told, is the linebacker corp with not Rob Deloach, but Kalen Deloach, not his dad, but Kalen Deloach, along with Gaynor, Lundy, and some others, really helped in the decision making for Tatum because he spoke with them. He was on campus. He's been on campus. I know there's been some reports that he just arrived today. That's not true. He's been around Tallahassee a little bit. We talked about it in the Discord last night, but he's been around. I think this was didn't take long for him to make his decision, from what I was told a couple of days ago. So that's why I felt really confident about putting in my 5 out of 5 prediction for Florida State to land him a couple of days ago. So Florida State lands a guy that you need to fill depth there and play immediately. He's got experience, and like you had just said, was the leading tackler in that game against Florida. He's going to bring violence, which you like. He's got size and he can move. So I think he's going to be a really solid addition to Florida State. Much needed get. And this is Randy Shannon. This is Randy Shannon's going to be his first season as the linebackers coach at Florida State. So already starting off hot there. But Sabbath Joseph, his connection there in Miami too. I know Miami, there was some talk maybe of Miami being in the mix. I don't think there was much to that at all. I think Florida State was really in the lead and was gone and took them. So Florida State, good grab for the Noles and the defense for next season.
So Bethune had a decent season 2 years ago in 2020, 57 tackles, then really exploded this season in 2021, 108 tackles. You don't see a whole lot of guys across the country rack up 100 stops in a season. He had 5.5 tackles for loss, picked off a couple passes, had 2 sacks. And so, nice addition there for Florida State, and he's played a lot of football, 28 games under his belt, so he knows what's going on and knows what he's doing on defense.
Yeah.
All right, it could be a really good week with Jared Verse out there from Albany. That would be another enforcer on defense.
Yeah, no, this is the biggest of them all. You lose Jermaine Johnson, you lose Keir Thomas, and you immediately think, oh my good God, what is going to happen? Because Florida State's defensive line group as a whole and the pass rush was a whole complete 180 from the year before with Corey Durden. You had Marvin Wilson, and you had a few guys on the outside there that just didn't seem like things were clicking this year. Although, I mean, a complete, like I said, a whole different direction with Keir Thomas, who was a stud. Jermaine Johnson was the name that everybody got to see on TV and everything, but Keir Thomas was a menace last year. So losing both of these guys is a killer. But how do you fix that? You go straight after Jared Verse, and that's something Florida State did right away. They made sure to set up a plan for him to get into Tallahassee, and I thought they've done a really good job in building that connection and relationships. One of the biggest things from what I was told from a source a couple of days ago, that the conversations between Keir and Jermaine Johnson is what might end up seal it for Jared Verse and him picking Florida State. There's expectations that there's a potential that he'll be announcing tonight. It was supposed to be sometime today, and I think it's going to be one of those nighttime kind of announcements. No shocker there. This makes it just so much more fun, so we can just stress about it all for the rest of the day. This makes it way more fun. And so I've already gotten 50,000 messages about it. I put in my predictions into the Discord if you guys want to go check out where I think Jared Verse is going. But I think Florida State's done a really good job. They've done about everything they can. I think it is between Florida State and Tennessee here. But I think there's a lot of media outlets that have zero clue. But from what I was told, there's some positives for Florida State here. You guys can go check that in the Discord. But this would be a big time transfer portal grab. I mean, if you look around the country, he's a top 5, even top 3, top 2 even talent in that transfer portal now. I know Caleb Williams, I mean, that erased Jared from taking that number 1 spot, but for a while, Jared's been up there. He's fast, he's quick, he can get to the quarterback, extremely athletic for his size too, and he'd be your day 1 starter whenever he steps foot in Tallahassee. So we're going to keep an eye out here. It's going to be like the ball dropping. It's going to be like, this is going to be better than New Year's, hopefully, for Florida State fans this evening.
So when you say Albany and you're talking college football, nobody's going to get too excited, but obviously people have scouted this guy and the people that know from watching the games, from watching him on tape, discarding the opponents, they know what they're looking at on tape. And that's why you've got all these other programs going after him. And I was actually just going to look up Albany's football schedule just to see if I could see anybody on there. I know they played Syracuse this year. And
yeah, no, he's the one thing about him that I noticed right off the bat is just quick as hell. I mean, he is so fast and makes it is the level of competition he's playing against, but it goes to show he can bring that to, the competition, the ACC and Florida State's future opponents. The thing that I noticed, this man, I forget which play it was. There might have been 2 of them where he was out beating the defensive backs to the ball. I mean, just absolutely going down and flying down the field to tackle guys, which is extremely impressive. But that's something that we saw with Jermaine Johnson. I think Jermaine's a bigger guy, but 2 athletic builds, and Jared Verse is very fast. I suggest anybody to go check out his film while you can. But this is definitely maybe a good night for FSU. We'll see, unless things change. I know people are worried, and I can definitely understand that. It's not a commitment that these transfers don't talk that much. Dustin talked with him on Monday, I believe, and talked about doing a commitment interview, and Verse was down to do a commitment interview. And after that, he's kind of been silent to every outlet from what I've been told and talking to sources and such. So that's kind of just how it is. It's been quiet on Tennessee's side. It's been quiet on Florida State's side. I feel confident on what I'm hearing and regarding the relationship built at Florida State, and if that will pave the way to having an announcement tonight to go in Florida State's favor. So I just need him to do this a little bit sooner. Let's not do this like really too late, because I'd like to hit the sack a little bit earlier so I can get rid of this whatever is on me right now.
Yeah, do that. Fluids, hit the sack, sleep it out of you. Do that.
Exactly. I need it more. I've got Gatorade. We've got Gatorade. I've got orange juice. We're feeling we're fighting it. We're fighting it.
All right. Can we get 30 minutes out of you?
Oh yeah.
You here for us? All right.
Oh yeah. No, we're rocking.
We appreciate about 50 online. I will tweet this out in a second. Usually with another tweet out while we're live, get a few other people in here, let people know that we're here talking FSU, and a big addition to the team, the linebacking core with Tatum Bethune, and then also holding everybody's breath on Jared Verse from Albany going to announce tonight. And you did say, I've seen Tennessee online. It's pretty much Tennessee, Florida State.
Yeah, it seems like it's between Tennessee and Florida State. Some of the Tennessee boards are feeling optimistic that it will be he'll be joining the Volunteers. I think some of these are gut kind of predictions. I don't know if they're receiving info and such, but I'm not on their side of things. It's interesting because, like I had said, with recruits in high school, you can go and build these relationships for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years even. And so, usually you have that trust built up where they'll tell you straight up, hey, I'm not going here, blah, blah. And you're able to put in a prediction or give an assumption. You can kind of give a clue to whoever your your subscribers, message board, podcast listeners. But with transfers, I mean, this is a business move for these guys, and definitely for Jared. I mean, this is a potential product that will go into the NFL. He's got that talent. He's special. So this is a business move. And from what I've heard, he's not big on the NIL stuff, which is at this point kind of feels nice to hear, because that has kind of hurt Florida State in the past, as we know. And it's funny because it kind of something went down with Tyree West too, and that went to the Volunteer side over Florida State. But it does feel nice that he's really focused on the relationships, what he can bring and impact Florida State next season. Mike Norvell is really key in on this recruitment overall, which is you like that to hear that. The defensive staff all have had Zoom meetings with him. They've talked everything, what he would bring. Probably you're playing day one, but the relationships between Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas, I think, is really what topped it. And I would love to, if it does go in Florida State's favor, I'd love to really sit down and talk with him and figure out if that really was the reason. Because Jermaine Johnson has been doing this. He's been helping Florida State staff since he arrived at Florida State, try to build the class. He did it even whenever he had picked Florida State. He immediately, was willing to help Mike Norvell and wanted to represent the university in the right manner. And he's done that with helping go talk to these recruits, talk to transfer guys. So we'll see if Jermaine gets the credit here for the landing. We'll see. And Keir.
Hey, Cheryl, good to see you tonight. Thanks for being here as always. And appreciate the kind words. You know that. So apologize. I can't respond to all the comments, of course, as we're trying to kick it in with all the information. So appreciate you being here, everybody. And has Mike Norvell talked to the media since National Signing Day?
Since signing day, he has not. I know we had Alex Atkins on, Florida State's new co-offensive coordinator, on Tuesday, and we were supposed to have Tokars, Florida State's new quarterbacks coach, today, but that got postponed. So no Mike Norvell that I know of, if I remember correctly.
So what were your impressions on Atkins?
Atkins, just kind of, this is how he is. I mean, he talks really highly of Mike Norvell, and he likes where the program's headed under him, and he definitely appreciative of the opportunity. he's a guy that even talked about he ranges not only in his position group, but I think he understands the offense very well. He's still got some learning to do, but he's a natural fit. I think he's not going to be the guy calling the play. That's not going to be what's going on. But for him to even understand and during games make adjustments, and that also affects his offensive line group, I think it only makes sense. And really to keep Atkins in Tallahassee, I think it was the right move from Mike Norvell to do the promotion. But he talks very smart, and he kind of keeps it up straight up with you. He talked about AJ Duffy too, and him coming in and him wanting to learn the offense as soon as possible, even while he was in high school. And I was like, chill out a little bit. Wait till you get here. You're an early enrollee, so you're going to learn it sooner than some other guys. So just in person, though, being around him, as watching practices, having press conferences after practices, he's definitely a down to earth guy, and he's hard on his offensive line. He's one of the few coaches on the coaching staff that, a few times during the week, if a practice isn't going well, he's going to, right after practice, we're going to do up downs after sprints, and he's going to be hard on you. And I mean, we saw it even in the open spring practice, which we got to go see a couple of those practices where, after that, guys are doing up downs, and that's, missed things. There's some things I can't say what he's saying, but there's just some missed assignments, things that you got to take care of off the field. He holds everybody accountable. It's not just one player, it's everybody. If you're, screwing up, everybody's going to be held accountable. So Coach Atkins has a bright future. He's going to be, I think, a head coach somewhere someday. We were already thinking about that whenever he was coming in from Charlotte. He's got that pedigree. He's got that coaching tenacity with him too, and he's smart. So the same goes to Kenny Dillingham. I think he's got a very bright future ahead of him, and I think it was tough for him to leave Mike Norvell because those two were so close. So I think Coach Atkins is just one of those other guys, Mark, where Mike just builds that tree of a coaching staff that just goes off and does their thing and gets paid. So Coach Atkins is going to be the next one, and that'll be a big one, I think.
Got Logan Robinson here, Noel Game Day, talking up Florida State here with all of us. Best discussion, debate, and analysis of college football right here at the Voice of College Football. We got 25 team channels, and of course, FSU, one of our first. So bring it in here and leave your comments and questions there in the live chat. Follow Logan at, oh man, if I can remember your Twitter, Logan's Twitty, right?
Yep, Logan's Twitty.
Logan's Twitty.
Logan's Twitty.
I need to throw that on the banner and get it up there. Logan's Twitty, and of course, NoelGameDay.com. And of course, as with all of these rumors and speculations, with the recruiting cycle still coming up through February, with the transfer portal humming, with Florida State just bringing in the UCF linebacker, going after Jared Verse at Auburn. Get into the Discord and see what the latest is. So you go to Patreon, search Noel Game Day, get into the Discord there. All right. Not to knock Ken Dillingham's offense, but what would be a few things that you necessarily didn't like and would like to see changed and see a different approach?
Sorry, say it again. Sorry, I thought something popped open. I was like, oh, God, here we go.
No, just basically, are you good? You got to run?
Nope, we're good. Someone was tweeting eye emoji, so you always got to watch out for that.
No.
We got to watch out. I was making sure something didn't pop because that's going to be the thing between this next 2 hours where all eyes are peeled.
Absolutely.
To the tweet deck. But go ahead again.
No, just basically with Dillingham's offense, just, what was there that you would like to see changed in a different approach?
Well, I think with Kenny Dillingham, I think a lot of the play calling was split in a lot of ways. I think people were believing that Mike Norvell was calling all the shots in every game. And I think primarily he was, but there was multiple times during Kenny Dillingham's tenure here at Florida State where he was calling the shots, and, Mike Norvell would make adjustments and he'd run his own thing. And I think it was significant to see that. There was plenty of times where the offense was struggling and you'd see Kenny Dillingham, you can't really see him, but up in the box, calling down there to Mike Norvell and getting plays ran, because you're not seeing Mike even talk. So I don't understand how Mike's calling the plays when Mike is not talking on the sideline. But I think Florida State is fine here. I don't think it affects recruiting much. I think Mike Norvell is that offensive mastermind. He's one of the best in the country. I think he's very creative and making sure using the talent that he has on the roster. And Florida State, I think, is going to be all right. They're going to be fine, which I think it was a tough decision, like I said, for Kenny Dillingham to make because of those relationships he built. I mean, even before Kenny Dillingham left, Micah Pittman, those two connected well. And, Kenny Dillingham talked really highly of Florida State and pushed for him to pick for FSU, which he ended up doing. And then Kenny Dillingham later on announced that he was going to Oregon. And Micah Pittman even recognized that and talked about it after he had committed, saying, Kenny Dillingham is a real one. And, he was still talking very highly of Florida State while, probably in talks with Oregon. So I think Florida State, I think Kenny Dillingham will see quarterbacks coach wise with Tokar's coming in. We'll see if that experience, that smaller kind of experience there, if that plays a factor in Jordan Travis's development as a quarterback, because there's still work to be done there. Of course, any quarterback can get better. But I think the staff at Florida State and where Mike Norvell is headed, and definitely with Coach Atkins now as a co-offensive coordinator, I think it bodes well because Mike is still your main guy calling the shots.
So we're going to see wide receiver Kevin Coleman at the All-American Bowl. Is there any chance that he is still in play for FSU?
I think this one is pretty interesting. I still don't think it's in Florida State's favor. I don't think it was during the night before early signing day. I just wasn't hearing positive waves towards FSU on that. Really talented guy. Before, though, a week before early signing day, what we were hearing were positives. He was telling Florida State staff certain things and they felt good. That kind of feels like that's what happened to Florida State in this last class. A lot of guys saying, hey, I'm leaning towards y'all. I'm leaning towards picking you. But then they'd go and visit one last place real quick, and that would kind of diminish that and ruin it. And so I still think Florida State, it's like a 2 out of 5 for Kevin Coleman. If I were to predict anything, I think he's most likely Miami bound, but he could shock everyone and be like, oh, well, actually, I'm coming to Tallahassee, but I just don't see that happening right now. I think it's more of a Miami bound than anything. But it's extremely talented. He would come in and impact that wide receiver room immediately. A potential to play very early on, like Malik McLean had.
D's coming in here with a question of the night. Where's NBC's Jason Parker at?
I know, right? Where is Jason Parker? 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to send a DM in here right now.
Yeah, okay. You beat me to it. I was going that route.
2 weeks in a row. Unreal.
So everybody, Jason was the guy. So let me backtrack. I was just going to talk about today. Basically, since the history of this show began 139 weeks ago, Jason is the guy on Wednesday that's like in the DM, like, we're talking about this. We're going to talk about this. It's like 8 in the morning. And Jason is on the DM saying, going to do this. He's taking his shots at different people, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, which is great. I've told him a number of times I kind of kid with him, make fun of him from that standpoint, just to have fun. But I'll also say, hey, thanks for doing this. I didn't have time to look at anything, and thanks for lining up our show. And we'll talk about A, B, and C. Great. Appreciate that. But so Jason was in, and Jason has missed the last 2 weeks, and now we're working on 3 weeks for Jason. And Jason was talking about being here, so all of a sudden we don't know where he is.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. There's maybe some things he's taking care of. He usually is eating his salad around this time.
Yes,
but maybe work's getting crazy. Maybe he got too good for us. Maybe he's left us. I didn't even see someone had a comment. Yeah, we miss Jason, because there's usually at some point here there's an argument. Usually around this point there's a Willie Taggart and a Mike Norvell argument, and the show doesn't feel doesn't feel right without having one of those. And then I'd hopefully be able to bring up a uniform topic that would really get on his nerves. And, maybe he just needed a little 2-week break from holidays, and then he brings back the energy next week.
I thought I would be in Jason's good graces just because we had 2 bets during the college football season where Jason made a statement. He had a hot take in the summer that one was on Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's going to do this and they're going to do that. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. No. And so we had a little over under on Georgia Tech, and I won that by a measly 3 or 4 games or whatever it was. So we had that one. And then another week, Jason was on here and he had a hot take on Pitt. Pat Nartuzzi's going to get fired. It's going to be horrible. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What? And so then we had an over under on Pitt. Needless to say, there was still a month left in the season at least. And I won that one. And so we had a couple of little friendly wagers with a few dollars behind them. And I was like, Jason, you're on here every week. You're our guy. That's a little payment for you. So we can wipe the record clean. And even though I took you for 2 wagers on Georgia Tech and Pitt this season, so I thought that would have put me in a good place.
Yeah, I thought he would come on here and be able to talk some more smack, but it seems like we took the L. He's starting to hide from us, and he's probably listening to this right now, or he'll listen to this later. But we do miss you, Jason.
Yes,
we miss the arguing about the silliest of things. That's what makes this show better. That's what the people are here for. And now we're heading into strictly not dead off season, but we're heading into the not so fun part of the off season. This is where we need you so we can argue about some crazy, stupid things.
We need crazy, stupid arguments. We need a little story time. What the last trip to Publix looked like, that sort of thing.
Yep. I know. And we missed all the holiday stuff because he's always reminded us of the holidays and what was coming up and how many days away they were. But
always he'll be back straight on the holidays. Yes.
He'll be back.
So Richard is asking, Mark, Logan, do you guys think that the Florida State admin told Deion that he could not help Florida State?
I don't think so. I think Deion talked about it in one of his recent interviews. I don't know if it was with Rich Eisen. I don't know. He did a few interviews after early signing day. I know for a fact he did say that he has helped Florida State too. And the recruitment for definitely and the recruitment of defensive backs. He's helped stay in contact. He's done things to help the program. So we'll see, if that's true or not. You never know what could be happening there. But I don't think the FSU admin would do something like that. I mean, Deion is everywhere around the programming. That's what Deion talked about. He said, I'm everywhere. I'm right there inside the stadium. I'm all inside whenever you walk in, where all the awards are, trophies, rings, NFL players, Hall of Fame. I literally have a statue of me inside the locker room. So they would not do that. I think the relationship is better than maybe some think. This was just a really big play on Florida State side. And I had a talk to earlier this week a little bit more about Deion and his interest in coaching at Florida State. And there was big time interest in coaching at Florida State. Just the background and him not having so much experience hurt that. And I don't think things ended like that where, Florida State was just like, stop, we're not doing anything with you, blah, blah. They had listened to him, listened to agent from what I was told. And there was things where, Deion had a chance. There was one guy at the top of the list, and that was Mike Norvell. That was the top target. So, there's still some other things maybe hindering Deion from becoming the head coach of Florida State. But, he had pressed very hard to be the next one after Willie Taggart left. And that's completely 100% true from what I've heard. And that's a very reliable source on that.
We've got a question coming in from Awesome T. And so I'll tackle this one first, not knowing much about AJ Duffy, although obviously he's a he's a top-notch prospect. But more from the Jordan Travis side is that, I thought his development was pretty substantial this past year. I don't think by any stretch that he's a top flight elite quarterback, but I don't think that he is not worthy of the position. And I had my doubts this time last year. I had more serious doubts about Jordan Travis than I do now. He has shown me quite a bit. Looking at the ACC and quarterbacks, it was probably, no, I'm going to say it was definitely the best league in America at quarterback play this past season. It was extremely good, like 5 deep with arguably all conference, all America type players. And it would, to give Jordan Travis a fair shake, the offensive line's been better. It would be great if there was more development there. And, with his mobility, with his wheels, it's not as needed as it is with other quarterbacks, but still, even with a mobile quarterback, you want to be able to execute your plays and not have him improvising all the time and running all over the place. And what I really think is going to benefit him is an upgrade at wide receiver. They really desperately need an upgrade at wide receiver. So it's easy to knock the quarterback, but there's so much more around him that they could be upgraded to help him out. But in terms of AJ Duffy, who knows? Is he going to be an early enrollee?
Yep. AJ Duffy arrived 2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an obvious plus for him to get him into winter workouts, spring practice. That's just a huge benefit, especially for a quarterback to understand the system. So any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I don't. He's not going to be starting day one. That's not going to happen unless just absolutely out of nowhere he's blowing it up. But that's.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just should double check the question after you said day one. I was wondering if Awesome T asked us if he was going to start day one.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
Well, yeah, even year one, it kind of goes the same way. Unless does he have a chance to start a game? I don't even want to knock on wood. Nothing happens to J-Trab, but you still have Tate Rodemaker back there. I do think AJ Duffy is one of the most talented quarterbacks Florida State has had coming in as a recruit since DeAndre Francois. Really, this is a talented kid. I think having a year behind Jordan Travis will be huge. Learning the offense, I think it's fantastic that he is an early enrollee. That's huge for any quarterback coming in to a program early to learn that offense and be behind Jordan Travis, who's really become a big time leader and has stepped up to represent Florida State very well and build these relationships inside the locker room. And he'll do that with AJ Duffy. Duffy, you would hope, can develop to be a potential backup later in the season. You would love for him to get as much playing time as he can, but it doesn't need to be against LSU. You would love it for Florida State to have AJ Duffy jump into the game into the third quarter in their home opener on week 0. So, Florida State sees a lot in AJ Duffy, and they should. He plays well. He played against good competition at IMG. I know some people and are looking at his stats and such, but I mean, the amount of talent and how many times they ran the ball. Could someone go please look at all the talent that was just played this last Saturday and this upcoming Saturday? I mean, the amount of talent that IMG had running the ball, there's no reason. It's hard to give any kind of can't even blast AJ Duffy that much on that. And too much talent at the running back position for IMG, and was running the ball a ton. So I'm excited to see AJ Duffy. I think that there's a bright future for him at Florida State. I think Florida State has done a really good job with AJ Duffy. You got next year with Chris Parson coming in, who I think is extremely special. So, but I think if he were to start somewhere in year one, then something badly is going on with Jordan Travis. But yeah.
Folks, we got Florida State football talk here every Wednesday night, 6 Eastern. Logan Robinson, Knoll Game Day, breaking it down for us on the Knowles front. And we've already talked up Tatum Bethune coming in from UCF, linebacker who racked up over 100 tackles this past year. If you had a chance to see him in the Gasparilla Bowl against the Gators And then we also have, of course, Jared Verse and waiting the decision that's supposed to come tonight on the Albany defensive end coming to FSU. And it seems to be down to Florida State and Tennessee.
Whew. Yeah, we're waiting. The Tatum Bethune one was 8 p.m. yesterday. So that's kind of where I'm putting my time range around there. Like I said, anywhere between 6 and probably, sadly, 10. It might be a little bit of a later night, but I think Florida State fans will stay up for it, checking on their phones and make sure the kids go to bed and the wife is doing what she needs to do, put on Real Housewives. We put that on the background, let the wife or girlfriend, they can watch what they want on Netflix and all that tonight. But, you get to do what you need to do, and you're in the Discord, you're on Twitter, you're watching Mark's shows, you're staying up to date. This is our time. This is where we get to sweat it out the next 3.5 hours, potentially.
That's it. Folks, we could also use a sponsor here at the Voice of College Football for any of the shows, but in particular, of course, FSU. So you can hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. If you've got a business, then get in contact with me. I can let you know what kind of numbers we pull in and what we can do for you. Or also, if you know of anybody who has a business that could benefit from, again, any of the channels, any of the shows, but especially here at Florida State.
Come give us some love, please.
Yes, do it. So the show's permanently moving to Thursday. Not this show, but the Logan's Noel Game Day show.
Yeah, we're moving that to Thursday evenings just because we really did it around when basketball season started, just a few weeks after that began, because there's so many games on Wednesday nights, and so that would conflict Austin's coverage on basketball because he needs to be watching that and covering it. So he's does a great job on basketball coverage. So we definitely want to make sure that we're doing them on Thursday nights, and I'd rather do them earlier in the week, but we're gonna rock and roll for the little bit and see what happens during the off season if things change. But Florida State basketball has just got to get better, or we're gonna just move it to wherever the hell I want to put it. Losing to Wake Forest by, what was it, 20 plus points yesterday ain't gonna cut it. So it ain't gonna cut it, Mark. And I know you don't give a damn about no damn college basketball, which I don't blame you. I kind of forgot college basketball was going on after all the COVID stuff going on, things being postponed, canceled left and right. I honestly thought college basketball was done for the year, but I guess we're back at it.
I loved college basketball when I was a young tyke, and along with everything else, I loved everything, all the major sports. And then, and when I got into the business, I had to cover college basketball, which was great. I loved it. Went to a few Final Fours, went to a bunch of NCAA tournaments, and in all of that. So went on the road with all of that, covered 3 SEC teams on a regular basis for 7 years. So yeah, it was great. And then just here in the last, 10 or 12 years, it's just kind of faded off. And now that I've got this, and this is got all my attention, I just don't know what's going on in college basketball at all.
Yeah.
I couldn't name you one college basketball player. Name me the most famous college basketball player playing right now.
All I remember is Kobe White was that North Carolina player, I don't know who that Oklahoma State player was, but I couldn't tell you any name right now except for Florida State's roster.
Who's Florida State's best player?
Florida State's that's honestly a phenomenal question, because I don't think anybody really knows. It could be, it really was supposed to be maybe Anthony Pillai or Matthew Cleveland, the high upcoming 5-star recruit, but probably Cameron Fletcher or God dang it. No, I've lost it. Now I have to look up his name because someone will tell me in the comments. I feel like this is a strictly heavy football audience.
Oh, it's all football. We don't need to talk any basketball. It was just it just came up.
Caleb Mills. There you go.
Yeah.
There's some question. I guess there's some kind of coming through here.
Well, somebody had asked something that you ran through, unless you have anything else to say about it, but just in regards to a quarterback transfer. We talked about that last week. Logan correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
is looking at post spring practice to kind of see how things shake out.
Yeah, I think.
Before.
Sorry to cut you off. I was going to say, yeah, Florida State, I think, is going to take some time. I think they're going to take some time, wait until after the spring to go pursue a quarterback. There really isn't maybe some options right now in there that Florida State wants to pursue, and that's completely fine. You don't have to rush into anything. And I think there will definitely be some after spring practices, depth charts, guys kind of figure out where they're going to be. I think that's when Florida State's going to pursue another quarterback. I agree. Florida State does need to find someone, I believe, to build that depth in the room. You don't want to instantly throw in AJ Duffy, a true freshman, in there. You don't want that to happen. You'd rather not. You'd like to let him get his experience while naturally and organically. But, Florida State's got to build up because of, Jordan Travis. So one thing hindering, and the biggest thing is staying healthy through a game, staying healthy throughout a whole 60 minutes. So, Florida State is going to do that. They're going to do their due diligence with a few players, but I think it will be after the spring where they're going to grab a depth piece there for Jordan Travis. I hate to tell you, but it ain't going to be Caleb Williams. I don't think he's going to be a depth piece for Florida State's quarterback rotation behind Jordan Travis. But yeah, I think it'll be after the spring, and that's fine. A lot of these, like we talked about probably last week, a lot of these transfer portal gets that Florida State had last year were later in the spring too, and they were extremely successful for FSU. Dylan Gibbons was one, were later in the year. And during the spring, Florida State was able to grab Dylan Gibbons, who was arguably one of the best offensive linemen for the Noles last season. So just a little bit of patience there, but I do think they will do their due diligence and they will pursue. We'll just see how successful they are on who they're going to be trying to grab.
Our guy D-Rock Irish, who tracks just about every show, and today is a full one. My Wednesdays, I tell you. And it's not just the live streams, because I got records in between the live streams, but I posted videos with the 10 most surprising teams of top 2021 and the 10 most disappointing teams in the night of South Carolina record and all these other teams. Anyway, we had Oklahoma live stream at 12:30, Ohio State at 1:30, Michigan at 5, Florida State at 6, Miami at 7. God. And so D-Rock Irish keeps up with a ton of them. So he's here, and he's got a question for Logan about Texas A&M. So I don't know if you've heard much about this, but we had our guy Andrew Hattersley on from 247 Sports on Gig'em 247. So he pretty much verified that Texas A&M boosters are getting together, and they are raising serious capital to bring in NIL deals. So just, I guess D-Rock Irish wants your thoughts about that.
Yeah, that's something where Florida State fans, they feel very vulnerable, and that's understandable. I mean, I think some fans are in the feeling that Florida State doesn't have money, and that's not completely the truth. Florida State does. I mean, they compete very well in the state. They do a good job. There's only, there's some programs out there that just are always going to have more money than Florida State. Texas A&M, I mean, they have the money. There's a reason why Jimbo went over there. Jimbo wanted his facilities. He wanted everything here. I mean, I know if Jason was here, this would just be a prime topic for him when we bring up Jimbo. But he wanted these facilities. He wanted to have the money. He wanted to have the backing. He wanted to have his helicopter ride to practices, which may be true, from his ranch, 60 miles away. Not 60 miles, 45 minutes. This is what Jimbo wanted. Texas A&M has that money. Can Florida State still compete with that money situation? No, they'll never be able to do that. I think about it back in 2013. These teams still had that money then. What did Florida State still do? They were able to recruit very well. They brought in a great staff. They had good talent. They had Jameis Winston. Even before that, the two classes before really brought in that national championship caliber of talent. So, Florida State didn't have the money then. Those other teams did before them. I mean, it's always going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be a conversation that we'll talk about this whole entire offseason. It'll be all about the NIL. We'll see how long this even lasts, because I think there's just a lot of unfairness and things to be situated legal-wise between state to state, and some things are you get way better options over here, money wise, and you're more strict in states. Definitely Florida. Florida's got a lot of work to be done. They were one of the first few to kind of dip their toes in all this, but there's still some work to be done to compete with other schools in different states, definitely in the Southeast, even some competing states. So it's going to take a while, and you probably have had to talk about it a ton, Mark, on your show.
Yeah. So this is what I guess I don't understand. And if I do understand it, I don't like where NIL is going here, if this is accurate. So I'm all for the athlete's ability to make money. No question about that. They're American citizens. They should be able to make money. It's ridiculous that, anybody in the world, an 8-year-old, not anybody in the world, anybody in this country, a 5-year-old can set up a lemonade stand and make money. But a 20-year-old athlete, just because they have a scholarship at a university, can't make any money. Okay, so we've gotten past that. Great. But NIL is basically tied to name, image, and likeness, of course, that basically the players are selling their brand for payment. So they've got a certain value based on how good they are, what program they play for. And so they can sell that to a particular company. And whether they're signing jerseys or autographs or just putting their posts on Instagram or selling lemonade like Bo Nix or whatever they're doing, they're providing value based on their fame. That's fine. That's great. But when I hear just boosters are gathering money, like, I'm not understanding the exchange. It just seems like it's a gift. It's not payment for some kind of service that the player's providing, some kind of endorsement that they're providing. It just seems like, boom. It just seems to be kind of going over the line for me.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where some of the rules need to come in.
And I know there's a comment on here that the NIL wasn't around then when Florida State won that national championship, and that's fair. But you don't think teams were already giving away monies to players? I mean, that this is now just kind of a public thing to say, hey, we've got this thing that we can give you. It's not supposed to be affiliated, just like Florida State's Rising Spear. They're not affiliated with the athletic program of Florida State. They're not allowed to. It's against the rules. I mean, Norvell can't talk to Rising Spear and say, I need James Frank to get $50,000. We've got to put him in an apartment over here. He needs a car too. Like he can't be doing that. Rising Spear or any kind of affiliate, or not affiliate, but the program that can't work with the university, they can do that. They can have those relationships, say, hey, this is what we can provide to you. This is practically a program. Either a player could also go talk to, they could have their own agent do these things, or they can use Rising Spear. That's how it works. But they can't have any kind of affiliation with Florida State's coaching staff. Coach Odell can't go say, hey, I got to get Tyree West, this, blah, blah. Could stuff like that happen in the background? It's against the rules. But, teams have been doing this for decades. I mean, these players are getting money. Family members are getting money. Moms and dads are getting paid. So that, even if we say that Florida State, that wasn't going on in 2013, whatever, at 199%, 200%, 2000% was. Now it's just easy to say NIL. It's a little bit, we can be more public in saying that. So, but just a response to that.
We've got a national championship game coming up on Monday night, SEC versus SEC, Georgia and Alabama. I just bring that up to let everybody know. If you want a deep dive, of course, we're going to have plenty of coverage on our main channel at the Voice of College Football. My take on the game, my prediction, all of that, plus a ton of media members on both sides, Alabama and Georgia coming up. We got Miami. I know, boo. But we got Miami coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time in just a couple minutes. So I'm headed over to the Miami channel. So check us out there as we talk Canes for the next hour. Logan.
Smack that like button. You got to hit that like button. We forgot to do that, but hit it. Hit it now. I think we got over what, 130 on? Around there?
Yeah.
140. 140.
Yep, we do. Yeah, we do. And we got a bunch of questions that Logan's already addressed. So you know what happened. You missed the beginning of the show. So just wait for the video to post. And I really don't know. I used to think it took like 15 minutes to post. It might be available as soon as we get done here. I'm not positive, but within like 15 minutes, you'll be ready to go and you can watch what you missed. And somebody asked about the schedule earlier. We got like 7 or 8 months to talk about the schedule. So we'll hit everything here in due time. Logan, we appreciate you making it happen, man.
Mark, appreciate you. Keep grinding. Keep doing all the dang live streams and videos every day. And I will pray for you whenever you get on this Miami live stream. We'll pray for you.
I will take your prayers. I will need them. All right.
Oh,
Thanks,
I'm
man.
quoting that.
Don't do that.
Someone clip it.